Welcome back. I am Ranga Karnam and I am all excited to be your instructor for this course. This course has more than 300 lectures and almost 25 hours of amazing content. So it's very important to understand the big picture and also to see where each section fits inside the big picture. In this step, let's get a quick overview of the entire course. Right now, we are in section 1 and we are getting introduced to the course. In section 2, we will get started with setting up our AWS accounts. Understanding regions and availability zones is very important to create highly available architectures. In section 3, you will understand the basics of regions and availability zones. And starting section 4, we will explore the different compute options that are present in AWS in depth. In section 4, we will see how you can create virtual servers with EC2, Elastic Compute Cloud. And in section 6, we will talk about how you can load balance between the EC2 instances or the Elastic Compute Cloud instances using Elastic Load Balancing. You'll understand the different types of load balancers and how you can choose the right kind of load balancer for your application. In between, in section 5, we will also talk about billing. Cloud is not free. To keep your cost low, there are certain best practices that you need to follow, and we will understand them in section 5. Section 7 is all about EC2, Elastic Compute Cloud, and ELB, Elastic Load Balancing, for architects. You'll learn what is availability, what is scalability. We'll also explore what is vertical scalability and horizontal scalability, and we'll look at how you can achieve them for your EC2 instances and Elastic Load Balancers. We'll also look at a lot of different architectural aspects in terms of how you can improve the performance of your EC2 instances, how you can keep your costs low with EC2 instances, and how you can monitor and troubleshoot your EC2 instances and load balancers. By the end of section 7, you should be really comfortable with EC2 and ELB, and you'll also be comfortable with the basic architectural concepts related to EC2 and ELB. Manually creating EC2 instances and Elastic Load Balancers is not easy, and that's where we would be starting exploring the different compute services which are present in AWS. We will look at AWS Elastic Beanstalk. We will look at different container related services, your Docker image related services in AWS, which are Elastic Container Service. We'll be talking about AWS Fargate. And also we'll be looking at a service which AWS provides for Kubernetes, which is the Elastic Kubernetes Service. The last compute option which we'll be looking at is serverless. We would look at how you can implement serverless architectures using AWS Lambdas and API gateways. By the end of section 10, you should be really comfortable with all the compute options which are present in AWS and how you can choose between those compute options. However, AWS is not just about compute options. It's very important that you understand the security options that are present in AWS as well. And that's what we would shift our attention to in the next sections. In section 11, we will be talking about how you can create your private networks in AWS using virtual private clouds or VPC. In section 13, we'll be talking about how you can use IAM, Identity and Access Management, to create your users and manage their access to AWS. In section 14, we will discuss about how you can protect your data using data encryption. We would be looking at two important services, KMS and Cloud HSM. And as we discuss security, we would also start with discussing about storage. In section 12, we would start with talking about the object storage option in AWS, which is Amazon S3. We'll explore Amazon S3 in depth in a section which lasts for more than 2 hours. And after that, in section 15, section 16, and section 17, we would be looking at block storage options, file storage options, and hybrid storage options. By the end of section 17, you should be familiar with most of the compute and the storage options which are present in AWS. And there is one more important aspect of developing applications which we have not touched upon until now. And that's what we will be starting from section 18. We'll be focusing on databases. Section 18 is very important because there are a lot of decisions that you need to make when you are choosing the database. So section 18 is where we discuss that in depth. We'll understand the different challenges in choosing databases, and we'll understand the important architectural terms when it comes to databases. Availability, durability, RTO, RPO, standbys, read replicas, database consistency. So these are all very, very complex terms, and these are things you need to understand in depth, and that's what we'll be focusing on in section 18. Once you understand the fundamentals of how to choose a database, you would look at the different database options in AWS. We'd be looking at RDS, Relational Database Service. We'd be looking at Amazon DynamoDB, which is a document database which is present in AWS. We'd be looking at a number of big data options, and we'll also be looking at a number of caching options like Amazon Elastic Cache. After talking about the databases, we would be exploring the different monitoring tools that are present in AWS in section 22. We'll be focusing on CloudTrail, CloudWatch, and AWS Config. I'm a big fan of asynchronous communication, and implementing loosely coupled applications with SQS and SNS is something I love. We'll be exploring SQS, which is Simple Queuing Service, SNS, which is Simple Notification Service, and Apache MQ in section 23. Now, I can go on for another hour listing all the other services that you would be learning during the course. The important thing for you to understand is that we'll focus extensively on serverless, DevOps, and a lot of other AWS services, and also we'll understand architectural best practices by the end of the course. We'll also help you get ready for the exam, how you can register for the exam, how you can test if you are ready for the exam with a practice test, and also my recommendations on how you should approach the exam. All in all, this is a comprehensive course with 30 plus sections, 300 plus lectures, and about 25 hours of amazing content. Some of the terms that you might have heard in this specific step might seem complex, sometimes even intimidating. Do not worry about them. It's my job to make them easy by the end of this course. Are you ready to get started on the journey to become a AWS certified solution architect associate? I'm Ranga Karnam, and let's get started. I'll see you in